Om Kayena vacha manasyendrayirva Bhutyatmanava prakriti swabhava Karomi adyat sakalam paresma Narayana samarpayami Narayana samarpayami.
Dear Seeker of Truth, welcome. This is a very auspicious moment. We are going to talk about Bhakti. Bhakti, divine love. So we are going to talk about Bhakti as the essence of all spiritual paths, as the soul of all spiritual paths, and also as a path in itself, Bhakti Yoga. So this is a work made by sage Shandilya, the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras. Not much is known about this Shandilya, only that he was a sage, a God-realized being that gone through many other philosophies and finally got to the nectar-like Bhakti as the soul of it all. So Sage Shandilya had a very intellectual approach also. He was concerned about getting from the different authorities, the different scriptures, the validity, the importance of Bhakti as a spiritual path. So he gathered that all and shared it. So may you all find divine love in your hearts. May you all be blessed by this auspiciousness. May you all find God. Moving on, Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, Sutra 70. Anything, even if it's a mere leaf, with steadfast devotion is offered to God, it has got its significance. So always give your best to God, and even if that is just a mere leaf, it will have the same effect. But if out of greed you're just offering a leaf, well, that goes without saying. Sutra 71. Among all the works, these devotions are verily the best. Why? Because they are born out of good works and are the cause for supreme devotion. So, if from devotion, from pure devotion, one offers to God the best he has, this brings the best fruits, because the possibility to offer the best one has comes from some purification, some spiritual values, some of the best spiritual values. So the best you have, and if that is just a mere leaf, then it will be conducive to Parabhakti in the same way. So supreme loving devotion to God, which is far superior over all other virtuous deeds, including Vedic rituals. Because, well, all these are for purification of devotion, and this is already a sign of pure devotion. In the Bhagavad Gita, many beings purified by knowledge and asceticism have attained devotion to me. So, after being purified by the knowledge and the asceticism, the austerities and all those spiritual practices, meditation, they attain devotion to me. That is the fruit of their spiritual practices. In whatever way they worship me, in accordance with that do I show favor to them. Sutra 72. These different ways of worshipping or serving the Lord God are called Gauna Bhakti, or the secondary forms of Bhakti. This Gauna Bhakti is of three types: Artha Bhakti, Jigyasa Bhakti, and Artha-Tirtha Bhakti. Although these three kinds of Bhakti are said to be secondary in nature, but are important because they aid in Bhakti. So these types of Bhakti, which we will go one by one, even though they are secondary, they are primary in the sense that it is what is possible in the absence of Parabhakti. And it conduces to Parabhakti, so they are very important. But still, they are called secondary because they prepare for Parabhakti. The best form of Bhakti that is praised by all is the one that is based on the words of the scriptures and therefore called Gyan Bhakti. It is because true knowledge and wisdom is the basis of enlightenment and shows the correct way Bhakti should be practiced. So again, the scriptures as the authority. So that devotion which is according to the scriptures is called Gyan Bhakti, the best Bhakti. Artha Bhakti is when one is extremely distressed, he takes refuge with the Lord God in order to overcome his sufferings and adverse circumstances. So this Artha Bhakti is also very great, and if you would know your actual condition, even those of you who think they have the best life, but are not in God communion, if you knew what was your real condition, you would be desperate for that God communion. You would be suffering for it. You suffer for other things, but it's because of that. And if you knew, you could access this Artha Bhakti. And this Artha Bhakti is very important and is the means to reach God. It is a way that God listens. God listens to the afflicted ones. So if you're afflicted, but out of pride, it has to come from humility, from deep sincerity. And this is only possible when you are aware, even by a flash of a moment, of what your circumstance is. But this Artha Bhakti, God listens to it. If it is kept for the certain amount of time, meaning if it is really sincere, if it comes from deep within, then God listens. God listens and blesses, independently on your offenses or on a lot of things. He will still bless you to move on, to continue, but He will listen and bless you. But then it becomes more complicated. If you have this cry for God, this Artha Bhakti, in extreme misery and suffering, and after you've been blessed, you return to your evil ways. So this is worst. But still, if you're really sincere, it may take more time, but God will eventually listen to you again and bless you again. Don't disrespect that again. Because the prayer of the afflicted goes to God directly, despite your level of purity, whatever. But it comes with responsibility also. So, and here is to overcome his sufferings and adverse circumstances. Well, in this case, people interpret this as adverse circumstances in worldly life or sufferings in worldly life. But this has a different meaning, because The sufferings in worldly life is because of the worldly life. It's because of being stuck in samsara. It's because of the absence of God. So illusion is the cause of these sufferings and adverse circumstances. So this one should have this Artha Bhakti because of illusion, because of worldliness, and because he is trying to overcome all of this to reach God. This is the best type of this Artha Bhakti. The rest is just more of the same. Jigyasa Bhakti is when one has heard about Lord and wishes to explore more about him and to know what the spiritual of Bhakti rewards are. And so he follows this path with an intention to examine it then for the sake of loving God. So this is a worship which is more out of curiosity than about anything serious. Artha Bhakti is when one expects any worldly reward from doing bhakti and offering worship to the Lord. And this is blindness. True aim of bhakti is God realization. Yes, for sure. There is no other point for it. Sutra 33. The various external forms of bhakti have a dual role. They can play a direct and independent role in success of bhakti by helping the devotee to overcome his sins and their negative consequences by engaging himself in many exercises that are collectively called Gauna Bhakti, so as to sufficiently purify himself and become eligible for God realization. Or they can play a subsidiary role by helping the devotee to focus his energy and efforts to develop intense internal love and devotion for the Lord, which would directly connect him to the Lord. Well, it is divided in two aspects, but they represent the same, because this purification, this external part of these forms of bhakti, of Gauna Bhakti, they are about cleansing sins and all these things, but they are all about purification also. Without it, this internal devotion is not possible. But I understand what it means. It's showing the external aspect and the internal aspect, but they are not separate. They can be seen as separate when impurities are very high. Internal devotion is not really possible, but these external aspects, they are possible and they do bring results also. Okay. So the Gana Bhakti is an aid in Parabhakti. Make Parabhakti steady and robust. A devotee should take recourse to Gauna Bhakti when he cannot develop Parabhakti directly in his heart. The steadiness and robustness of Parabhakti has to do with impurities. So these Gauna Bhakti, they help maintain the devotion, increase it, build it, purify it, so it should be kept. So Sutra 74. Remembering God, praising His glories, reciting His stories, etc. are to be included in the devotion of the distressed Artha Bhakti, because they have the nature of expiation. They are the embodiments of God. Remember this. For the expiation of the offenses, one must earnestly and arduously take recourse to listening, remembering, and chanting the divine names, glories, and pastimes of Sri Hari. And of course, if one knows the real condition, Artha Bhakti will come naturally, because you will see what pitiful condition you are, and you will beg, you will plead from the bottom of your soul to get the blessings and the help from God to redeem yourself. But even this clarity is difficult. But still possible. Still possible. Sutra 75. Even for the expiation of the gravest offenses, there is absolutely no need for a devotee to observe austere penances. But when he has taken recourse to constant chanting of divine name, till the death befall upon him. But still, I would advise, couple that with austerities and intense meditation. It will help. It will help purify, it will help in many, many ways. Because even this remembering, listening, remembering and chanting the divine names, glories and pastimes of Srihari, this is a level of awareness has to be there for the need of it. And in the middle of a lot of blindness is not easy. But this is how it works. But still, because when he has taken recourse to chanting the divine name till the death befalls upon him, there's a thing here. It is like this if he has surrendered everything to the Lord. Because if he hasn't, it doesn't work like that. Sutra 76. For a devotee, even a little act of devotion destroys the gravest sin, because Bhakti has got such an extraordinary power. Who is a devotee? The one who is full of devotion and surrender for the Lord, who has repented deeply and sincerely, and who cannot even fathom on repeating an offense. This level. For him, even a little act of worship destroys the gravest of sins. So at this level of purity, everything changes. Sutra 77. Because steadfast devotion makes the Lord station at the heart, therefore, for the expiation of sins, it does not require any other assistance, as Bhakti serves the self-same purpose. So when the Lord is stationed at the heart, what else is needed to expiate the sins? Its mere presence expiates all sins. Sutra 78. Every man, even down to the lowest born, has equal right to follow the path of devotion as is taught by successive authorities, scriptures, saints, sages, rishis, self-realized beings, God-realized beings. So every man has the right to follow the path of bhakti. Not many claim that right, but all have the right. There's no requirement as per intelligence, looks, possessions, whatever circumstances there is. Everyone can follow the path of bhakti. In Narada Bhakti Sutras, Sri Narada says, birth, scholarship, external appearance, wealth and occupation, etc. make no difference in devotees. So these Narada Bhakti Sutras, they are very rich in content and should be studied by those who want to follow the path of devotion, coupled with these Shandilya Bhakti Sutras. Sutra 79. Therefore, even though one has not reached the highest state of this devotional perfection, he will go to the abode of God, the home of the eternal bliss. So, what does this mean? It means that even if you haven't reached the full of your devotion, but you have tried, and you're trying constantly, incessantly, you will go to God. Remember that those who worship the mains go to the mains, those who worship the deities worship the deities, those who worship God go to God, the Supreme Being. So nothing is lost. But thinking that, oh, if I worship once in a while, then, well, that doesn't work like that. If you're engaged in constantly worshiping the Lord, if you have surrendered all to the Lord, you're trying your level best, dedicating all your time, all the breath of your body, of the life of the body, then if you're not achieved perfection till the death of the body, you will go to God in the same way. In the Gita, Arjuna asks Sri Krishna, if one is endowed with devotion to God, falls from the path before achieving perfection, what fate does he meet with? Krishna answers, Dear Arjuna, there is no fall for a Kalyanakrit who walks on the path of devotion for eternal good, either here or hereafter. He says there is no fall from the path. If at all we find he falls from his path or meets death before attaining perfection, know it for certain that he will be reborn in the family of the enlightened devotee and regain the potencies of his previous sadhana, and he can strive with greater responsibility to attain perfection. So, he says that there is no fall first, meaning that the real devotee doesn't fall from the path. He stays on the path. But if by any accident, and accidents happen, I will not go into the merit of this, but there are accidents. But if at all we find he falls from his path or meets death before attaining perfection, so either falls from his path prior to death and then meets death, because he can fall from his path, and if there's still life, he can regain it by sincere repentance. But it has to come from the bottom of the heart and be willing to sacrifice everything. And that is simple for the one who is aware of his pitiful condition. But if he meets death before attaining perfection, know it for certain he will be reborn in the family of the enlightened devotee and regain the potencies of his previous sadhana, and he can strive with greater responsibility to attain perfection. So nothing is lost. But for example, if he has reached a high level of devotion, then he will go to the Lord directly. Sutra 80. There is a gradual process and also an immediate process of attaining perfection of bhakti. So there's a gradual process and an immediate one. Those whose hearts are untainted and beyond virtue and vice, minds are perfectly tranquil and perfectly self-controlled, such single-minded devotees attain Lord Vasudeva. So if purity is already there, they attain. Next, Bhagavan says, even though one performs his secular or casual duties but takes absolutely shelter in me, he attains by my grace the eternal and unchangeable realm. By consecrating all duties to me with one's full heart, and by submitting his intelligence to me, one should apply his mind and attention to me and be my devotee, then he will gradually surmount all the impediments by my grace. So if the devotee is in a pure state already, tranquil mind, purity of heart and emotions, then he can attain parabhakti immediately. Or he can go by a gradual process where he surrenders everything, dedicates everything to the Lord, and eventually by that work and that worship, those impediments in his path will be removed by God's grace. Sutra 81. The concluding statement of the Gita is that they too gradually attain me, the highest goal. So in the Gita, at the initial stage, my devotee may have some foreign elements in his conduct, but speedily his hankering after worldly affinity is fully eradicated from his heart by dint of his immaculate devotional temperament. Soon he attains me, the abode of eternal peace. So these were steadfast in devotion, independent on their level of purities, because sometimes devotion is strong, but then they come back, and especially in this Kali Yuga, they get, corrupted. A lot of corruption happens, but still, that devotion is still there. And if given a chance, it can change everything. And they too will, following the same steps, complete surrender, dedication, they too will achieve perfection. Sutra 82. Even the worst sinners, when stand destitute, fervently craving the mercy from God, they too are bestowed with devotion and gradually attain the abode of peace. So even the worst sinners, when they stand destitute, fervently craving for the mercy from God, remember, Artha Bhakti, that the bhakti, the devotion of the distressed, the suffering, they too are bestowed with devotion and gradually attain the abode of peace. Sutra 83. One who has understood the essence knows that the true purport of the Gita is exclusive or unalloyed devotion to Godhead. Well, this is absolutely true. Even the conversation, the dialogue, is in a devotional relationship. It is the dialogue of God and the devotee, not just Arjuna, but all devotees, all devotees. It is about love, all that conversation. It is about devotion, because it is clearly stating that it is through love and devotion that the devotee reaches God. That is the sacred path. And all other paths that are talked about, they are about purification of devotion and reaching God. So it is all about unalloyed devotion. God says, "He whose be-all and end-all of life is to serve me with exclusive loving devotion, with all energy of body, mind and soul, him I regard the greatest yogi above all." This is a high level of state, especially now in the times that we are going through in Kali Yuga. This is very difficult because greed is very high, these impurities are very high. And to reach this level of dedicating everything to the Lord, really, it's not easy. But if achieved, brings the highest perfection. That is for sure. Sutra 84. Exclusive, unalloyed devotion to Godhead is the sine qua non of all the lessons. Thus speak the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Yes. So, all the lessons, all the spiritual paths, all spiritual disciplines, this is what they speak about. For those who have doubts about this, well, don't. Because it is a fact. There's no other way of reaching God, transcending illusion, crossing the ocean of Maya, reaching Brahman, whatever you want to say, only by unalloyed devotion to God. Exclusive, unalloyed, untainted devotion to God. Okay.
Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva Tvameva bandhushka sakha Tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam Tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva